Forms studied in the framework of Japanese Shinto cults suggest that there must have been primary types produced with some elementary fixations with the hand, resulting in a hut-like type and a column-like type varying only in regard to the basic diameter. Hut-like type of Shinto cult sign annually remade in Ueda village, central Japan. Column type of Shinto cult sign in the same village, but treated as a territorial demarcation of another hamlet. When it became clear that these cult markers in fact were territorial demarcations with very complex formal, spatial and social functions, 100 villages which had similar Shinto festivals around the same time were studied in all details. The sign set up at the village foundation is annually renewed and thus conserves the hegemony of the founder house. Settlement core complex. The annually renewed sign creates ritual, social and spatial structures of village. The sign implies an aesthetic proportion in the sense of the upper part protruding over a fixed portion. The sign unites opposites like natural and technology, diffuse and defined, light and heavy, multitude and unity, movement and stability. Very different forms show similar bipolar structure. Analogy, the philosophical concept of the general, is created. The form is irrational. With its contrasting elements, it cannot clearly be described. The sign becomes a fish due to ritual movement in horizontal position. The high pillar changes to a dynamic dragon when he is carried around. Are we in a fairy tale land? The column becomes a boat. Was this original discovery? As Platon says, geometry is holy. Note that these signs are divine symbols. This is a presentation of sacred signs, built in Japan in many places. The list was drawn according to Japanese literature in the 80s. There is an enormous variety of forms. Geometric forms are primary. Huts, columns and pillar types. Very small ones and very large ones. Many forms allude to natural forms like mountains, trees, flowers, animals, particularly birds. Human figures, small and giant size, are seen. Snakes are often related to ropes. Technomorphous forms like boats are widespread. The plates transmit the idea of a field where primary form types, geometry, led to the gradual discovery of a wealth of natural fields. Are we somehow in a survival domain of early art and cognition? Was this straw culture a development of its sign culture? The Ainu in former times, a hunters-collectors culture in the north of Japan, have a very special system of signs which perfectly regulates their economy. These ancient sign traditions also provide the highly humanistic order for the Ainu house and its relation to the environment. The Japanese house too is not a functional concept but shows its essence as a polar accumulation of places defined by cultic signs. Carpaccio has painted an interesting evolution theory of space perception. The primary order of harmony is shown with the fibrous cult sign on which the saint stands to ascend to heaven. This polar harmony is mirrored in the Christian social polarity of God and humans, which is embedded in the polarity of classical architecture with arch and columns. It was primary model of cognition, a world of categorically polar analogies. It produced a harmonious world we still can guess with the Chinese Taoism or Yin-Yang philosophy. It lasted until analytic thought dissolved it. Its basic influence on many types of art is evident. Nietzsche distinguished Apollinian and Dionysian forces in art, but was not conscious that both are usually present in the same form, for instance as heaven and earth. In Asian art, polarity often shows highly dramatic expressions. Hundertwasser was aware that the yin-yang aesthetics is missing in modern architecture. The following pictures show 4 quite different types of architecture. In spite of different styles, all examples show the same synthesis of dynamic upper parts and static lower elements, the aesthetics of heaven and earth in the same form, explicitly expressed in the last picture, showing the Baroque ceiling of a church. History of styles. The art historian's incapacity to understand the deeper roots of aesthetics led to the destruction of age-old beauty and harmony. Three examples of symbolic structures of Indonesia show that traditional aesthetics in architecture followed the harmonious principle of coincidence of opposites. Note that this is not simply decorative, but reminds us of a deep-rooted model of human culture creation.